We did it. I didn't think we could do it, but we hit 70 subs. That's all y'all. All of y'all. I ain't got a name for the subs yet. So, but hey, 10 more for 80, 30 more for 100. Let's get to the video. So guys, we're in the new world, the new generation of gaming. We're technically at that crossroad where it's still old gen, but it's the start of new gen. So with that, people have expectations they want to see in gaming. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I want to talk about my expectations in gaming trends, maybe games that have already been out, and even some of the new games that I hope to see in 2021. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. I'm on the road to 80 subs before my birthday, which is December 21st. So we got literally around a month left. So within a month, I'm trying to get 10 subs. If you guys can help me out with that, it's much appreciated, much love. Now, here's the criteria for this video, because you have to give criteria because people don't listen. I am only talking about expectations. I'm not talking about specific video games unless I have a specific expectation for the game. Hence, one of the games I will be talking about is Final Fantasy 16. So I have a high expectation for a specific reason for that game. I will not be talking about any games that are currently or will be out by the end of December. I'm talking about specifically 2021. So you Cyberpunk 2077 fans, you will not hear about that game in this list because it's coming out in December. So I don't care about it. And lastly, I'm going to try and mix it up. There will be a lot of weed games in here, but I will try to mix it up to some type of, I guess, shooter or something like that. I might not have shooters. I'm recording this earlier in the day, so whatever I have at that moment, that will be the video. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy my comments. And yeah, like, share, subscribe. Like I said, let's get started. So since Final Fantasy 16 was the first game that I brought up, I want to kind of go into that first and get rid of that one off this list. Now, Final Fantasy 16, my expectation for this game is to kind of revitalize what we know about the Final Fantasy series. Now, we've never seen a bloody Final Fantasy in this capacity, and I will have trailers, and I should have said this before, any trailers I will try to give credit to the creators because I didn't pull this myself, but looking at the trailer, it's going to be very gory, no holds bar, hardcore. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care that kids are seeing murder. We're going to show murder to the kids type things. And with the director of Final Fantasy 14 being the lead on this game, I really have high hopes for the story. Now, Final Fantasy 14 itself has done great things, and you can see that this, at least in my opinion, this is placed within that world. So hopefully we get to see some Final Fantasy 14 tie-ins, at least, let's say, for what is looking like it's kind of the Heaven's Ward era, the Heaven's Ward expansion. I might be wrong. It might be some precursor to that, but we'll definitely have to see. I will like to see some guest cameos in this game. I 100% will be. And another thing that I will hope this game does is lead over to Final Fantasy 14. Maybe get some hints to Final Fantasy 14's next expansion, some of the classes we'll see, and maybe this game will be the catalyst to transform Final Fantasy 14's story into something that has a little bit of blood and gore and not as family friendly as the other Final Fantasy comes out. But I'm really excited for this title. I'm really excited to see what this will do for the Final Fantasy 14 genre, especially if it transforms it into something new. Now, this next game is going to be something you guys never heard of. It's actually something that I found out was coming out in 2021 like a couple of days ago, and this game is called Blue Protocol. Now, why is it important for Blue Protocol to come out? Why do you even care about an MMORPG that's a weed game? A lot of people are going to say it's a weed game, so to me it's just an anime game, but it's whatever. The reason why this game is important is because of the downfall of the MMORPG, that whole genre. So right now, the only two games that you can really sit down, well, it's three. There's three games that you can really sit down and say, okay, they're doing extremely well. That's Black Desert Online, World of Warcraft, and Final Fantasy 14. I know a lot of people will try to say Guild Wars 2, but Guild Wars 2 has been on a decline for a couple months now with an expansion that was supposed to come out sometime, I believe last month, that didn't come out. Genshin Impact isn't an MMORPG, so don't even say it. And then Elder Scrolls is very niche. It's a very niche market for very niche people. I do feel that Blue Protocol, with the whole rise of anime coming into the culture way heavier than it's ever been, I do feel like this game could be a huge boost to bringing people into the MMORPG field. And that's kind of where I thrive before I even start doing videos like I do on this channel. Bringing that field together and bringing that community together could be a good thing, because that can lead off into World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, which Final Fantasy 14 would be your anime, but this is even more anime than that. Even Black Desert has some type of anime, but it can lead into that as well. So I'm definitely have high expectations for this genre going into 2021. Now this one we don't really have too much information on. This is going to be Project L or Project R or the League of Legends fighting game. This is going to be huge for the fighting game community if it works out well. I'm going to also add Guilty Gear Strive to this list. I think these two games have a chance to blow up fighting games. I do think 2021 will be the year of fighting games. I 100% believe that if the League of Legends fighting game goes well. Now, if it's a one button, no command fighter, I really think fighting games will go to shit. A lot of people, a lot of pros, for some weird reason, but I kind of have to agree with them, are depending on this game to do well. They're depending on this game to have great netcode, to be accessible to everyone, to be a welcoming door to new fighting game players. And the reason why they want this is because if this game does well, this game does amazingly, now these other fighting game communities, so Tekken, Street Fighter, Under Knife and Birth, which Under Knife and Birth does this well, so I'm going to omit those, but the two OGs, we're going to call them the two OGs. Now they have to see what this is doing. They have to understand about rollback netcode. They have to understand that the community wants more guides on how to play your game and accessibility to get into the game, so that way, yeah, we understand you have to take losses, but we also want to understand how to play your game before we have to take said losses, if that makes sense. Now these next couple of bits, because I just want to get the gaming stuff out the way, I want to talk more about the system itself and some of the trends we might end up seeing, to include gaming trends. Now, first with the systems, I think a big thing is having those replaceable SSDs. Now, a huge trend is later on in the year, we might start seeing replaceable parts in consoles. Now, I think we're far away from that. You know, a lot of people are going to say too, well, if you're going to do that, buy a PC. But a lot of people don't want to buy a PC. I hate to tell you this PC master race, but a lot of people do not want to buy a PC. A lot of people like to stay loyal to consoles. So being able to replace certain parts in your consoles to make it better, or at least make it replaceable, will be a huge move. And that's an expectation that I will like to see at least Xbox start talking about, because Xbox is Windows Microsoft, and you know they work with computer companies all the time. They are essentially a computer company. So having little tidbits of replaceable parts, maybe being able to add RAM into your PlayStation or Xbox, that might be overthinking it, that might be wishful thinking, but it could be a trend that we're starting to see. Like I said, with the replaceable SSDs, even though they're small memory cards or wherever they need to be, that's a good start. That's a great start. Another thing is the trend of gaming. Now, we all know what the trend of gaming is right now. You have battle royales and then you have remakes. That's kind of the trend of gaming we have right now. Now, like I said earlier, I do think fighting games will make a resurgence in this trend. It will make a resurgence in this year. Now, what other things can we see? Now, I do still feel like the shooting genre is still huge. Like, you're not getting away from shooting genre. But I do think that within this year, within the next 3 years, we're gonna start seeing a decline, because it's so oversaturated with battle royale, then Call of Duty, then tactical shooters. Shooters is in almost every single last game, to the point that is what's truly oversaturated. I also do think we will start seeing a decline in RPGs, because every game needs to have some type of RPG element, to the point people can't define a true RPG. Like, look at Valhalla. Right now, Valhalla is be considered an RPG / action adventure. Like, what? Just call it a fucking RPG. Like, but I do think we will see a return to mass. And I kind of edited it out. I was gonna talk about the Grand Blue RPG that was supposed to come out to topple with the Final Fantasy RPG, and I should have said it earlier. I think those two, if they come out and they do extremely well and people love them, we can see a whole turn back into those RPGs, those Kingdom Hearts type RPGs, make a huge resurgence and make a huge blast. But then you also have Persona, which the company and the games, the side games that they're making, what is it, Shinsigami? I think that's how you say it, but I know there's a new version of that game coming out next year. So we could also see turn-based RPGs make a huge rollback next year. I think if we're going to talk in trends of streaming, I think streaming will take over YouTube. I do think streaming is becoming more popular because of our generation, the generation coming up after us. I'm saying before. After us is using less and less of actual cable and television. We're using more of YouTube and Twitch. So now Twitch and YouTube might start becoming that forefront with the gamers, with virtual reality. And speaking of virtual reality, VTubers are going to be big next year. VTuber video game players are going to be big. Now you see a few of them already. There's a couple YouTube channels, I will try to link them, that are VTuber gamers, and they are making waves just because of their characters. And like I said, because the anime wave, which is another thing that might take over in 2021, that I 100% expect to take over, is that anime wave. They're using that to their advantage. And going to the anime wave, this would be my last big expectation. I do expect for anime games to make a huge splash. Now, we've seen a couple, but not really. Most anime games that I know of, they're more like fighting games. You do have stuff like Nier Automata, which didn't come out last year, but that's just a game that I'm going to throw out there. But you have something like Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact has shown that anime is huge. The anime wave is huge. So you do not think Bandai, which is creating Blue Protocol, is not about to blow up. Do not think these big AAA companies are not about to use the anime wave. You're not going to see a Naruto RPG, a One Piece RPG, another DBZ RPG with the same shit, with the same 20 stories of Goku getting his ass whooped and then his friends saving him. It's a lot. It's a lot I can go over, but I just want to get some of these points out. If I'm going everywhere in this video, please let me know in the comments. I feel like I did a little bit, but I did want to get my points out. It was it is so much that I'm excited for 2021. 2020 has been terrible and good at the same time. It's been terrible as in all the epidemics and stuff we've been going through, but it's been very good for my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is doing great right now for the small amount of subs I have, and yet I haven't found a name for you guys. Y'all can leave in the comments whatever name y'all want to use, and I'll leave it again in the beginning. Like, share, subscribe. If you're new and you like this video, hit me a like. Tell me you like the video. And last thing, if you love the music, I will let you guys know in the next video. If you leave in the comments where you want to know, get the music, where you can go to get the music. But other than that, I'm out. Peace.